If you have watched My Dress Up Darling and 2.5 Dimensional Seduction, then you can quickly tell just how very similar these two animes are. They both focus on cosplay, they both have unique characters, they both are perfectly fine showing fan service, but the most important one of all, they're both able to display the same kind of message throughout its story. And that message being is you shouldn't be embarrassed with your hobbies and you shouldn't stop doing what you love just to be seen as normal or to be accepted in society. And it's important to have these discussions because unfortunately when it comes to people having a hobby they like or they like doing something specifically during their free time when they're not busy, oftentimes this can result in some people judging that person or thinking that person isn't normal because of just what they like doing. Which is why it's important that when these situations do happen to not let it affect your life, because at the end of the day it's still your life. You should be able to live your life the way you want to live it, because as long as what you love doing doesn't hurt anybody, then you shouldn't stop doing what you enjoy doing the most. A beautiful message that was able to be displayed in both of these series, since they both have moments in which this message plays a huge role in many of its characters and their character development. In My Dress Up Darling, we see this a lot with the main protagonist of that story, Wakana Gojo, a boy who loved making dolls only for him to be traumatized by a girl who thought that what he liked doing wasn't normal. And for a while, Gojo wasn't able to forget about this moment or live his life the way he wanted to live it because he was so worried of people judging him and viewing his love of making dolls as something a guy shouldn't be doing as a hobby. But that all changes when he meets Marin Kitagawa, who not only is not afraid to show her love for things like anime, manga, etc., but also her love of cosplay, how she wants to be the characters that she's a huge fan of, with the only problem being is that she's not good at making the costumes of the character she wants to cosplay. And this will be a new chapter for Gojo's life, as not only did he find somebody that won't judge him because of the things he likes, but now he's able to use his skills not only for his sake but also for Marin as well, because one thing that he wants to see from now on is Marin have a huge smile on her face doing what she truly loves, and that is cosplay. And even though Gojo throughout the story was able to finally embrace what he loves doing, it didn't mean that he fully forgot everything that happened to him in the past, like when during Halloween, as he's celebrating with Marin and a few of her friends, one of the guys asks Gojo how he's able to do Marin's makeup so good even though he's a guy. This line alone was enough to freeze up Gojo because it was going to remind him once again of just how he felt when he was getting ridiculed by that girl all those years ago. Only this time things will be much more different, as when this question was asked, someone else will answer it saying how even though Gojo is a guy and is good with makeup, it doesn't mean he's the only guy that can do makeup well, as there's probably tons of other guys that are just like Gojo and are just as skillful as Gojo. This was the moment that Gojo realized that times have changed and he no longer has to hide his true self because he surrounded himself with people that are going to accept him for who he is, something that we get to see during the school festival arc, in which by this point people from Gojo's class already know what he's capable of and want to see what he does with their own eyes. At first Gojo is afraid because this is all new to him, because up until now it seemed that nobody was really interested in what Gojo liked doing, but now that he was able to show his passion for his interests, people got curious, and despite how scared he was, afraid that people were going to judge him if he messed up, he realized that he had to put that all to the side for the sake of Marin, as it's her that he needs to worry about, because ever since she became part of his life, he promised to her that he was going to do whatever he can to make sure that Marin was having fun while doing cosplaying and giving her the best costumes for her happiness. But even though Gojo's character arc of him embracing what he loves doing is a very memorable part of My Dress Up Darling, it doesn't mean that it's the only one that really pushed the idea of why you shouldn't be embarrassed of what you love doing, and how just because some people may not like what you do or for whatever reason thinks that your hobbies are weird, it doesn't mean that you should let it get to you, because it's not really worth your time hiding your true self for the sake of some people. We saw this through Himeno Amane, whose real name is actually Chitose Amano, a boy who also, just like Marin, loves cosplaying. The difference being is that he loves to dress as female characters, and when we hear one of his stories of him being in a relationship with a girl only for that girl to find out what he actually loves doing, which was cross-dressing, she would be very quick to ridicule his hobby, and even going as far as to tell him that in order for this relationship to keep going forward, he would have to stop doing what he loves doing, which is cross-dressing. And while normally it wouldn't have been surprising to hear that he did exactly that, he threw away his hobby for the sake of making the relationship work, the opposite happened, because what he actually ended up doing is breaking up with the girl, since not only was this individual not worth his time, but also what was the point of being with somebody that wasn't going to accept everything about him. It's these moments that really is a great reminder of how, while it is unfortunate these kind of situations happen in some people's lives, the way you handle it is the most important thing. And it's this reason also why I believe that 2.5 Dimensional Seduction is just as good as My Dress Up Darling, since it was also another series that was able to tackle this subject as well through its protagonist Masamune Okumura, a boy who made it obvious how much he loved being an otaku, his love for manga, anime, and the most important one of all, a character named Liliel, who for him was his waifu. He showed all this to the world without a care whatsoever, because for him it didn't matter what people thought about him, because at the end of the day he was having a lot of fun in his life. And things would get better when he would meet Ririsa Amano, a girl who just like him was also a huge fan of Liliel, but most importantly she was not afraid to show her otaku side either, with the only difference being between them is that Ririsa wants to be a cosplayer as a way to show her love for Liliel, but it's during this journey that the both of them will come to realize that not everybody can be just like them. Not everybody can express with confidence their love for being an otaku and or cosplayer, whether it's because they sadly couldn't find people that had the same interests as them, which led them to be anxious and insecure, wondering if there was something wrong with them for enjoying the things that they enjoy doing, or they feel that their hobby could impact their career and can make them be seen as somebody that's unfit for society. And that's something that's very important to highlight, because it demonstrates just how cruel society can be, where many people are very quick to judge others just simply because what they like doing in their spare time. Something that also My Dress Up Darling tackled as well, as sometimes it doesn't have to be strangers or people that you've never seen before to be the ones to completely ridicule you for what you love doing. It could even be people close to you or people that think they have the best interest for you, like Akira Ogata, who actually was growing up, she developed an interest and love for manga and anime, only for her parents to not be able to accept that, to the point that Akira's parents got rid of her mangas and made her stop watching animes, because in their eyes they felt that Akira was getting too old to be liking that kind of stuff, ignoring the fact that this was going to hurt Akira, which is why it's so infuriating when people have this kind of mindset. But unfortunately the sad reality is that a good majority of people have this mindset where they believe that you're only allowed to like certain things at a certain age. Once you get past that age, then you are no longer able to enjoy that thing, because then you're viewed as a child or somebody immature who hasn't learned to grow up. And when these kind of things are said to somebody, it doesn't come as a surprise that these moments not only would traumatize a person, but this could also impact their life in a negative way, constantly having to hide their true self, having to enjoy the things that they enjoy doing in secret, because it could feel like there's nobody in your life that has the same interests as you and you're basically all on your own. And that's the kind of lifestyle that nobody should ever have to live through, which is why it's so important to always meet people that don't just like the same things as you do, but also they're just good people in general, the kind of people that won't look at you weird when you tell them what you truly love doing, the kind of people that won't make some cruel comments just because of what you like, but most importantly, find people that will support you and accept the person that you are. This is the reason why we enjoy series like My Dress Up Darling and 2.5 Dimensional Seduction. While both of these series are considered romance, both of these stories have more things than just romance. These two stories once again are a great reminder why you shouldn't be embarrassed on what you love doing. It's why we like characters like Marin and Okumura. Both of these characters are very similar despite being in different stories. They both don't tolerate when people ridicule others just because of their hobbies. Not to mention, they are also two characters that don't hide the fact that they enjoy what they enjoy because it helped them so much in their life. It helped them when their lives weren't easy. It helped them when they wanted to make their lives more fun. And it's because of these experiences are the reason why both of these characters are so supportive when it comes to somebody having something that they love doing. And that's because all they simply want is for that person to not be ashamed of what they like, or encourage them to not give up on what they like doing just because some people are not able to understand them and are more concerned at being normal in society instead of being their true selves. Since regardless of who you are, where you come from, or the kind of lifestyle that you have, everybody can enjoy the same thing. And even though times have definitely changed and people are starting to become much more accepting of others, and people are actually starting to be much more comfortable expressing and revealing to people what they are into, it's still worth shedding light to this topic just to see just how far we've come on people not making fun of others because of their hobbies. Because there was a period in time in life where you couldn't be honest on what you like doing, and this is especially the case when it comes to anime and manga, because there were times where people were treated very differently from others just because they enjoyed anime and manga, and this resulted in many people having to enjoy these kinds of things in secret, because if people found out about it, you could become a target. So I'm really glad that we are living in a time period where things like anime and manga are so popular that when you tell somebody this, they are most likely not going to judge you or look at you weird just because you said that, because, well, it has become something so popular that they know other people that also have said the exact same thing. So overall, if you have a hobby that you're really into, don't ever be ashamed of it. As long as you're not hurting anybody, then it's perfectly fine doing something that makes you happy and makes your life much more fun, because that's the most important thing when it comes to life, which is living a life to the fullest, creating beautiful memories, pursuing your passion while at the same time creating meaningful relationships along the way. And with that, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.